Breeders' Cup 2025. We continue with our series of contender videos. We've already got videos up on the Classic, the Sprint, the Dirt Mile, and now we're going to take a look at the Japan runners that are Japan bred, Japan based, that have been pre-entered into the Breeders' Cup for 2025. Remember, Japan has had a large presence in the last couple of years. When the Breeders' Cup is on the West Coast at Santa Anita or Del Mar, we tend to get a few more runners from Japan, and this year is no exception. We have several runners, and over the years we've had 35 runners bred in Japan that have ran in the Breeders' Cup. We've had 3 different winners. Of course, a couple of those runners were Japan-based. Caracante had a little bit of a European campaign coming into the Breeders' Cup. A couple of them paid pretty good prices. We had Caracante in the Turf Mile out of the wide post position. That was in 2014, upsetting the field. The Japan bred, of course, now a successful sire of some good turf runners. And then we had March Lorraine upsetting the field at 49-1. Fast pace that year in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. And then in the same year, 2021, Love's Only You, a filly mare winning on the turf. So 3 different Japan bred winners over the years in the Breeders' Cup. And last year we had 19 horses come over from Japan. In 2024, none of them reached the winner's circle. In 2023, we had 9 horses. And again, we've had some different horses run well, second, third, and fourth. I think this year there's not as many runners, but I think the quality is better than 2024. Potentially runners in the Classic, the Distaff, the Turf Sprint, the Sprint, Filly and Mare Sprint, and the Juvenile Turf. Let's take a look at the Classic. Of course, the granddaddy of them all. We've got Forever Young pointed to the Classic. Last year, he did run in the Breeders' Cup Classic. He ran 3rd behind Sierra Leone and Fierceness. He was 3rd in the Kentucky Derby in 2024. Now let's go back to the 2024 finish. Right at the wire, Sierra Leone bumping Forever Young, and then Sierra Leone getting the better of him last year in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Now, Forever Young won his prep race, the Nippon Stakes, a few weeks ago. That was his first race since the Dubai World Cup, and a nice race off the layoff. Overall, not as fast as he's ran in the past from a performance rating standpoint, but I think it was a good conditioning race, and they're probably tightening the screws getting ready into the Breeders' Cup Classic. I think 10 furlongs suits him well. Should be a good price, right around 5-1, maybe 6-1 on Forever Young, who continues to train forwardly, and he is going to be one of the probably 2 or 3 horses that'll be bet the most of the Japan Contenders in 2025. Now, on the Distaff side on the dirt, we've got Alice Verite, who is kind of an interesting long shot. I think she'll be about maybe 7 or 8-1 in the Distaff. She ran 4th in the Distaff last year, but she didn't show speed, and she's been better as a horse that runs on the front end. She's number 4 last year. I wanted to highlight her trip. This was a race on the dirt, and she'd been running on the turf. She had good workouts leading into the Breeders' Cup Distaff last year. If you notice, first turn, she's kind of trapped behind horses. And remember, Torpedo Anna was 2-5 last year. She was going to be tough to beat. They elected to lay off the pace. She kind of comes wide into the stretch. On the overhead cam, she's behind horses. That's not an easy trip for a horse to get all of that dirt for the first time. I think if they let her show speed, she could be tough. Now, she was 5th in the Victoria Mile, but she led them all the way around, faded late. Here's Alice Verite on the lead, into the stretch, on the turf, demanding turf course, and she set some pretty good fractions. And again, I think as a front runner on the dirt in the Distaff, that's probably her best chance to win. Overall, 25 starts, 4 wins, 7 seconds. She's a Japan bred. Kozine, a little bit of a Breeders' Cup name from the past. Of course, he was a nice turf horse. And Kazuna is by Deep Impact, who is a son of Sunday Silence. So Alice Verite, 4th last year, was running late. you know, she should be able to get the distance. She's been running a lot of 1.25 mile races. She comes in off an 8th place finish on August 3rd, and we'll see if they send her to the lead this year. Now, a horse that is not Japan bred but Japan based is American Stage. Here he is winning the Breeders', he'll be running the Breeders' Cup Sprint. He ran in a maiden special weight in Japan. He won 3 straight races, 2 additional races after that, including a minor stakes race. American Stage has the same owners of Kentucky Derby runner Master Fencer from a few years ago. He's by Into Mischief. He'll probably be coming off the pace. He is a 3-year-old facing older horses. And overall, here's American Stage training in Dubai in March. He's a 3-year-old colt. He looks like a lot of the Into Mischief's, kind of a big engine, blocky type horse, and I think 6 furlongs will be a good distance for American Stage. Now, Puro Magic is a 4-year-old filly. She is pointing for the Turf Sprint as her main preference. She could be strong in that race. Here she is in the Summer Dash on the turf, winning that race. Puro Magic bringing a little bit of good Japan form and class into the race. Now, Fille Blanche, filly and mare sprint. This could be a difficult spot for her. I think the filly and mare sprint is a strong division this year, but she does add some quality depth into the field this year. I think she's going to be more of a longer price, 15-1 or higher on Fille Blanche. And Invincible Papa's another runner. Ran in the CBC Cho Stakes, a Group 3 last time around. And Invincible Papa going to be pointing, entered in a couple of races, but Elgin is another Japan-based runner. Distaff or the mile on the turf. It looks like a mile on the turf is going to be her first preference. Group 3 Queen Stakes. She's number 10 for Elgin. And in this race, she ran on the turf. It looks like she's going to stick to the turf for the turf mile on Breeders' Cup Saturday. Now, Switch in Love, 2 pre-entry nominations. Juvenile Turf is the first preference. She made her debut on August 17th, gets up in the final stride, has a solid pedigree. Switch in Love, I think, is going to be probably under 6-1 in that Juvenile Turf, as overall that's a pretty competitive, evenly matched field for the Juvenile Turf. She is also second preference for the Juvenile Turf Sprint, but I think the main indication is that they are going to look for the Juvenile Turf as their entry race. Now, remember, at some of the Japan runners, last year a lot of the runners were overplayed. They did have a second place finish in the turf. Overall, the Japan runners have a little bit more stamina. They tend to point for these big race days at long shot prices. I think they're worth playing. I think Forever Young and Alice Verite are probably their 2 best chances this year. Switch in Love, another contender that I'll be taking a second look at. Overall, they don't face as many pace of the race like they do in America on the dirt, so they'll come from a little bit further back. And Forever Young, probably going to be right around 5-1 or less in that classic. What do you think of some of the Japan runners this year? Like and share with another horse racing friend. Leave a comment on Forever Young, Alice Verite, and some of the Japan runners that you're looking at. And remember, D. Wayne Lucas always said, people have opinions, horses have the facts.